Are British actors better than American actors? And this conversation has been sparked into debate since the recent video that Drewski posted, the skit that he posted about mainly black British actors coming in and taking the roles of black Americans, huge black American icons that are being played by black British people. And it's made people think, well, why is this the case when there's such a big pool of black Americans to pick from? Why is it that the black British people keep taking these roles? And it's caused me to think a little bit deeper, which is why I'm asking this question. Are British people just better actors? Part of it comes down to the education. I'm not saying Americans are not well educated or they don't go to film school, but the film culture in the UK is slightly bigger and has gone on for a lot longer than it has done in America. You know, theatre and whatnot has been a thing in the UK before America was even a thing. So that culture is already ingrained within British people.
Yeah, I forgot who we were talking to. It was an American actor. I can't remember. And they simply said, because British actors are better and they take the craft more serious. And
I wouldn't say that it's a question of better. There's just a tradition in the UK where it's almost an apprenticeship. You do those 3 years. Then I was at the Royal Shakespeare Company for another 3 years. So that's a 6-year training. You know, so when I then eventually turn up to Hollywood 10 years after I've graduated, I'm coming in with a wealth of opportunity and training that I had in the UK. Mm-hmm. And that's a tougher thing to get here. You have these extraordinary actors. It's just that they're not getting the opportunities to advance at the rate that their white counterparts will. And so it's why we don't get to know who Denzel is or Morgan Freeman is or Don Cheadle is till they're in their 30s, their 40s, because it's all tied to opportunity.
Actors talk about how they went through 10 years of film school, graduated this time, then done another 3 years, 4 years here, just learning the arts, perfecting the craft before they even got their first role in Hollywood. You see, you have to understand, Hollywood is like the Premier League. This is going to be my best analogy for Hollywood, yeah? Hollywood is like the Premier League. That's where all the big money is and all the best talent in the world, they end up in the Premier League. They end up in Hollywood. So the best people are obviously going to end up in Hollywood. And it seems like a lot of the best people look like me, sound like me. You understand? And it can't be a coincidence that, you know, that there's such a huge theatre culture in the UK, and then subsequently all of our actors are going over to America and killing it.
I'm so sick of British actors playing Black American roles. And I don't just mean like American Black roles. I'm talking, this started from Idris Elba playing in The Wire. Then we had Cynthia playing Harriet. Then we had Daniel playing the dude from Judas and the Black Messiah. And now we have Damson playing Miles Davis. Y'all, even if these people are great actors, which they are, these are historical, ancestral roles that have plagued the Black American community for centuries. And we want to hire Brits because we're obsessed because they can easily switch into an American accent. There are plenty of Black American actors that either one, you haven't seen because honestly, they don't get the chance, or two, they don't get the opportunities to play these roles, and that's ridiculous. It would be different if it was a one-off, but I swear to God, if it's a hood person, if it's a person from the South, if it's a person that was once enslaved, they're going to be British. When I found out that man that was an All-American was a Brit, I said, it's over. I went to arts high school and college. It's a long-standing belief in the Hollywood acting world that Brits are inherently better actors than Americans. They get better training, all of these things. There's two reasons for that. One, we can't seem to let go of colonialist rule. Two, it's the idea that Brits get more art funding than us. So yeah, it's just a little bit different structurally. It's a pattern that just has to stop. It has to stop. It has to stop.
I see a lot of critiques on, especially on these black British actors, because they seem to be scrutinized a bit more than their counterparts. But there's never any scrutiny on what they do, on their work. It's never, he doesn't sound like us, or she doesn't sound like us, or they didn't act the role very well. It's never that, because they're killing it. Let's be honest. Damson Idris, he went over and done Snowfall, killed it. You know, Idris Elba's been killing it for longer than I've even been alive. Daniel Kaluuya, oh my gosh, one actor, killing it. Whatever role he's given, he kills it. He takes it, he blows it out the park. But he kills it. And this can be the case for many other Black British actors that go out there. They all kill it. They all do a very good job. Their acting skills are incredible. So that's never the problem. The problem is that they're not originally from America. So Americans feel like they don't really understand the struggle. But here's what I think is wrong with that statement. They are actors. Their craft, their job Their profession is to act. They are meant to be acting as someone who they are not. So I know it could potentially make more sense if a Black American plays the role of a Black American. But if a Black English person can do it and is very good at what they do, and they're still able to tell the story in a good way, I don't see why they shouldn't get the role. And clearly, neither does Hollywood, because they keep employing people like us to do those roles, and they smash it. They smash it. You understand? And I think that talking point of, well, they should just get a Black American to do it, is slightly redundant when you think that there are other African roles that have been taken by African Americans or Black Americans who don't really have much to do with Africa or don't have any African in their family. Nelson Mandela, Morgan Freeman, Idi Amin, Forrest Whitaker, Black Panther, is set in Wakanda, a fictional African environment with a lot of African cultures, an African leader played by a Black American man. And a lot of other people in the cast were also Black Americans. But it's not really a problem when they do it, when they go to other cultures and they act as other people. But then when Black British people come and act as Black Americans, it's a bit of an issue. I'm not really too understanding of that. And honestly, I think it's more of a non-issue, because I think whoever's best for the role, just do it. I loved Black Panther. It's one of my favorite movies in general. I thought they'd done a fantastic job of showcasing African culture to the world.
First of all, like Idris Elba, this guy's done so many American roles that I didn't even know he was British until one day I heard him talk and I was like, yo, what?
Yeah.
Damson Idris, like the harder you listen, you can kind of hear it.
You can hear it, yeah. Chiwetel is another one.
Chiwetel is another one. He did 12 Years a Slave, right?
Yes.
Daniel Kaluuya.
Daniel Kaluuya
has a lot of American roles. Get Out. Nope.
Nope.
But I never understood the double standard, because it was like, wait, when Don Cheadle's playing Hotel Rwanda, when Forrest Whitaker is doing the strength of the Black Panther will be stripped away, like nobody said nothing,
Who
you know.
talks like this? Who talks like this? Which African are you impersonating?
Yeah.
But we didn't have a problem with it.
I always found it interesting of that there was even a debate or a discussion around that, because I was like, wait, man, we're all Black. What's going on?
Yes, accents were a bit off. It was a little bit off here and there. I'm African myself, so I can tell. But I thought all around they'd done a fantastic job. Movie was great. Actors done amazing. So happy with the way it turned out. And I think that's just what it should be. We should celebrate each other more rather than, picking and choosing who should be doing the roles. And I think the anger is misplaced. Yeah? Because a lot of people are angry at Black British actors for taking these roles, but they have nothing to say to the casting directors who keep bringing them in and making them their main characters. You understand? Why don't you go and complain to them? Because they're the ones choosing us.
So instead of being upset at the casting directors, the producers, the people who know the film, the people who know what they're looking for, instead of being upset at them for casting non-Black Americans for Black American roles, y'all are upset at Black British actors for taking roles. And it's not taking. There's so much that goes on when it comes to auditioning and casting for a TV show or a film. They're not taking anything. They went, they auditioned, and they got the role. You can't take something like that. Instead of being upset at the people behind the scenes who are pulling the cast for the show, y'all are upset at people who are doing their jobs and acting. And then I keep seeing comments like, oh, well, you should have integrity and turn on the role. You tried being unemployed for months and somebody finally give you a role. Are you going to turn it down?
Overall, I just think British actors are very talented. Now, outside of Black people, because Drewski's skit was more about Black people, right? But this is just a British thing. White, Black, Asian, whatever. British actors are coming from Britain to Hollywood and taking the roles. And they're doing them very well. Florence Pugh, she has loads of different roles as an American actress, but she's British. You understand? The last Batman was a British man, Christian Bale, and now the current Batman is Robert Pattinson, another British man. And Spider-Man currently is a British man. So was the last Spider-Man in Andrew Garfield, was a British man. These are American superheroes set in American cities, but they're taken by British actors. Why? Because British actors just seem to be very good at what they do. And there's never critique on how they do it. the reaction is always, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's British. Why? Because they're so good at what they do, you can barely tell that they're from England.
American accents are easier to fake than British accents. Well, let's test this out right now.
Okay, I can do my American accent. I sound like that. You don't like it, do you? You find it very unnerving when I go American.
Darling, is it actually true that a British accent is much easier than an American accent? I think you're correct. American accents are easier to fake than British accents. Truth.
Yeah, it's funny, like growing up, you know, we watch and I don't want to say consume because it makes it that's such like it sounds like the death of art, but like we do see and listen to so much kind of American media, so we're kind of exposed to the accent from like a young age.
Sure.
And you know, like everyone grows up watching, you know, The Simpsons and like The Fresh Prince and these shows, and we hear the accent, and so everyone is kind of in the habit of, I guess, like doing impressions and quoting things in American accents from a young age.
From right
so
away.
like as Brits, we almost get like a bit of a head start on it. You know what I mean? It's almost unfair in some ways, because then I think people are particularly harsh on American actors when they try and do British accents. It's like, well it's harder it's harder to do. And also I think sometimes the British accent is represented in a kind of quite a binary way where it's like,
hello, governor, or there's no nuance to it.
It's like we're too posh to function.
Yes.
It's like there's like nothing kind of in between, and you know, it's a small country but with a huge range of accents in different regions.
Another thing I wanted to touch on is the exposure to American media from British people when we grow up. Obviously, you could tell from my accent I'm British, born and raised in the UK, and we were raised on American TV. American influence on the world is massive. We're in the UK watching your shows. So subconsciously, we're hearing your accents all the time. And obviously, as we grow up, we're all just going to mimic the accent. And the average English person can do a slightly decent American accent. You know, we all grew up watching SpongeBob, you know, Adventure Time, Regular Show. Hella American accents everywhere, you know? And my accent is even dead, but, you know, you can tell it's okay. But the average American can't really do a British accent at all. Even the way Drewski was doing it, it was completely off. And it was very funny. You know, I found it very funny. But a lot of Americans in the comments are saying, oh my gosh, his English accent is spot on. Because their exposure was not that much growing up. They weren't really exposed to English media at all. Maybe not until they were all grown. And even then, English media has not really crossed the pond the same way American media has crossed it to us. You know what I'm saying? So they don't really know, and they can't really imitate us as well as we can imitate them. And I think now if you put that into an actor who trains to sound like them, you know, who uses all that years of listening to their media and starts imitating and then trains to be like them, of course they can go back out there and just sound natural because they've been doing it for years and years and years.
You're not American. You're British.
I'm not.
How do you hold the accent like that while you're filming? Is that difficult, or is that something you just get used to?
I think it's exposure. Remember, you're America. You're number one in the world. So a lot of people are looking at you. A lot of people with children, when I was younger, 9 years old, 10 years old, they asked me, what was your favorite movie? It will most likely be an American movie. And in order to portray my favorite actors, my favorite movie stars, I'd have to do an American accent, right? So to a certain extent, we've been training from a young age. And I can only assume as much as New York actors out here, they do great British accents. You know, it just depends on your exposure.
Just turn it on?
Yeah, turn it on.
Can you give us some American right now?
Of course I can. I can give you John. Thank you. Breaking hits theaters August 26th. But I just love my job as an actor. My job is to portray other people. So yeah, it's all a part of it.
I think that's why we're able to go over and sound like them so convincingly, you know, whereas the opposite, Americans coming over to England and sounding like us, is very few and far between. It doesn't happen a lot, and when it does happen, sometimes it's quite obvious that they don't sound like us, or it's a generic posh English accent, you know, a bottle of water, you know, those type of things. You know, there's a couple examples. Johnny Depp, Pirates of the Caribbean. Can't lie, when I was growing up, I thought he was British, but I thought he'd done a good job. He's American. And then there's Robert Downey Jr. with Sherlock. Thought he'd done a decent job as well. But you can handpick them. It's few and far between. Whereas the opposite of British people going out there and doing those roles, there's so many. Like I can't even count how many do it. It's so common because we're just very good actors. You know what I'm saying? Now, in answer to the question, are British actors better than American? It's subjective. It's very subjective because a lot of the great actors that you can think of are American and they win loads of awards, Oscars and whatnot, and they're great. But you know, as many American greats you can name, you could probably name British greats, and a lot of them who you probably thought were American, which is testament to how good they really are. I see a lot of British artists, British actors who are a bit more versatile. They can play American roles, but they can also take British roles and other foreign roles. You know, for example, Florence Pugh. Obviously, she can act as a British person. She's British, but she can also do the Russian angle. She can also do the American angle. You know, we got Christian Bale who can do the British angle and the American angle. I don't think most of the top American actors can do the same. They're great at the American roles, and they're great at a variety of American roles, you know, acting as different people from different states, and they're fantastic at that, yes. But can they act as someone from a different country convincingly, as well as the English can, or as well as the Australians can, because they can do it very well too? I'm not too sure. Really, this question just depends on what you think a good actor is. You know, me personally, I do think British actors are better, if I'm being honest. But that doesn't take away from how good the American actors are. They are the blueprint. They are the biggest in the world, you know, so it only makes sense that you'd say that they're the best. I just think that English are just better, if I'm being honest. Appreciate you for staying so long. Thank you for watching the video. Subscribe, like the video. It helps me out a lot. Gonna be coming out with a lot more bangers. Take care. Glory.